Hi everyone, this is Henry again. This is my second video in my video diary series dealing with my diagnosis and treatment of prostate cancer. I'm going to start out by making a slight correction to what I said last time. The type of prostate cancer I have got is called locally advanced prostate cancer. Not fully advanced, so it's not gone metastatic, it's not spread out too far around the rest of my body, but it's called locally advanced prostate cancer. But it is aggressive. It's got a Gleason score of 9, which is to say most of the cells in the sample were growing at a rate of 4, which is moderately quickly, and some of them were growing at a rate of 5, which is alarmingly quickly. So, with that, I went yesterday to the Royal Sussex County Hospital to meet my oncologist for the first time. An oncologist is a doctor who specialises in cancer, the treatment of cancer. Quite interesting that the chap I saw yesterday was called a doctor, even though he's extremely senior, whereas the consultant that I saw up in Hyde is a Mr. And the difference is that a Mr. is, as I've discovered, someone who performs surgery. So if you're actually a surgeon and you chop bits off and out of people, you're known as Mr. But if you are administering other forms of treatment, you just carry on being called a doctor, regardless of how senior you become. That's kind of interesting, I thought. A little factet there. Anyway, the meeting with the oncologist was, I suppose we were in there about half an hour, and I actually took along this iPhone and turned on the voice recorder function so that I didn't forget anything that was said in the meeting. My other half, Annie, also came with me. But it was a sobering meeting, I think that's fair to say, because the impression that I got coming away from this meeting was, yes, a more sober, perhaps a slightly more doer prediction of what I'm about to go through. Whereas last time I spoke to you, I'd been told and had been given my first load of tablets to reduce the testosterone levels in my body. And those tablets are called bicalutamide, and they're just little tiny little white things, 50 milligram bicalutamide tablets. And what they do is they suppress the testosterone level in your body, which also should help stop the growth of the cancer. But the chap I saw yesterday informed me that they also want to put me on injections, high dose injections of hormone therapy, which will massively reduce, in fact, reduce virtually to zero the amount of testosterone in my body. So whatever the side effects might have been from the bicalutamide tablets are going to be obviously exacerbated. I'm likely to be a man walking around with middle-aged menopause, full-blown hot flushes, the lot. So that's going to be interesting. The advantage of the injections is that they can be administered just once every 2 or 3 months, something like that, rather than having to take tablets every day. There actually needs to be an overlap, apparently. There's going to be an overlap between when the injection start and then before I come off the tablets, a couple of weeks overlap, because apparently the injections, when you're first given, can actually make your testosterone PSA levels shoot right up. So there we are, the weird world of medicine. So the bicalutamide tablets, if I continue those, will apparently help to kind of reduce that effect. And then once the injections kind of properly kick in, then, as I say, my PSA levels and the levels of testosterone in my body will drop like a stone. So that's going to be really interesting, and that's going to have all sorts of curious side effects, I'm sure. This is one of the things. You get a very helpful booklet from the Macmillan Cancer Centre, because there is a brilliant Macmillan Cancer Centre right opposite the hospital here in Brighton, with loads of booklets. It's amazing the range of booklets that they've got dealing with all kinds of cancers and side effects and diet and exercise and all sorts. So yes, I've got that to look forward to. But hey ho. And the shock I had yesterday, however, was that I thought we were going to be going in and talking about my forthcoming radiotherapy treatment. And in my head, I'd sort of imagined, based on the conversation with the consultant out in Hyde, that I was going to be starting the radiotherapy in a few weeks' time. Probably. I knew that you'd have to go on these hormone treatments, anti-androgens as they're called, first, which help to kind of stop the cancer going any further before they zap you with the waves. But in fact, we didn't talk about radiotherapy. We talked about the fact that I'm probably going to be put on chemotherapy as well, and that the chemotherapy might start quite soon, within the next few weeks. Yeah, that was a shock. I hadn't been banking on that at all. I mean, I'd obviously, anyone who's heard anything about cancer knows that chemotherapy exists, and I had certainly imagined that, if you're someone who had lung cancer or something else, yes, chemotherapy. It hadn't dawned on me that they might use chemotherapy to tackle my prostate cancer. But apparently, the chap I saw yesterday is pretty sure that I ought to be having chemotherapy, because he sees the kind of prostate cancer that I've got as very aggressive. So, to use a military analogy, rather than just using infantry in the combat against this cancer, he wants to send in the cavalry as well, and probably the heavy artillery. And I can understand that. Of course, it makes logical sense to me, and obviously I want to beat the cancer I've got as quickly as possible. But obviously, I think, like most people, as soon as you hear the word chemotherapy, we are aware of the really quite ghastly side effects that it can have from day one. Ranging from obviously extreme fatigue, extreme vulnerability to catching other diseases because your immune system's suppressed, nausea, massive fatigue, and of course obvious things like your hair falling out. So probably before I start my chemotherapy, you're going to see a video of me with my hair cut much shorter. I mean, yes, I'm receding. Of course I'm receding. There we are. I'm a man who's 58 years old, so I count myself as lucky I've got this much left. Not too much of a bald patch on top. But hey, I think if I'm going to have the chemotherapy and knowing that that's a potential side effect, rather than be sitting here with large clumps of my hair suddenly falling out, I'll probably... I don't know if I'll go for the full shave, but I'll certainly, get a number 2 or whatever it's called with the clippers. I've got a friend over in America, Jay, who's a barber by profession, actually a veteran, a soldier as well, but he's a barber by profession during the day. It's a shame he's over there. I'm sure that Jay might do a more sympathetic job than my local barbers, but hey. So that's a new reality that I'm having to confront. The potential chemotherapy, or in fact, no, not so. I think I've got to say, to be honest, the likelihood of chemotherapy. They're going to be discussing this in the multidisciplinary team again. You have a team of specialists. So I've got my oncologist here in Brighton now. There's the consultant up in Hyde. There's the various specialist nurses. There's the Macmillan team, the senior nurses, and so on and so forth. And they're going to sit down, have a chat, look at my case file, and decide on my behalf whether or not chemotherapy is going to be the best thing for me. So it's fair to say, yeah, a certain amount of anxiety about that, because again it impinges on my ability to carry on working as a self-employed person. If I don't work, I don't get paid. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to have to find some way to work around that. It turns out, in fact, the radiotherapy, if I'm going to, because I'm probably going to have that in addition to the chemotherapy, that probably won't start until March, April next year. They run the hormone therapy and chemotherapy for some time first before they kick in the radiotherapy. So I've got probably a good 6 to 8 months of deep joy ahead of me, by the sound of things. And then, of course, the problem is with chemotherapy and radiotherapy that the side effects and the hormone therapy can persist for some considerable time after that. Some of them might persist for weeks afterwards. Some of them might persist for years afterwards. So that's going to be interesting. So yes, that's the kind of brutal reality of where I am, that the treatment I'm going to receive is going to be more, real blitzkrieg level than perhaps I've been expecting. So that's just something, I'm going to just have to take a deep breath and get on with it. Now, there's something else I wanted to say, which is, yet again, thank you so much for the incredible volume of well wishes I've received, messages, texts, emails, direct messages via Facebook, responses to tweets, and all sorts of. It's been amazing, and I certainly feel hugely supported. Hugely supported. I think this is probably about the right time to start saying, okay, I hope you'll appreciate that because of the sheer volume of messages I've been getting, apart from anything else, it's going to get to the stage fairly soon where I might not be able to respond as quickly as I'd like, or even perhaps at all, to every single message that I receive, simply because I'll end up spending hours a day just answering messages, which obviously I literally can't afford to do. I literally, for 2 reasons. First of all, I've got to get lots of work done. I've got to try and earn as much money as I can, as quickly as I possibly can, before all these ghastly side effects really start kicking in. Okay, I'm sure you can understand that. And the second thing is it's psychological. In my own headspace, if my energy is dwindling, it's just a brutal fact, I'm going to have to reserve as much of that energy as I possibly can to help me get through this. It's, much as I know some of you, bless your hearts, I mean, you've been really lovely, and you kind of like want to hold my hand all the way through this, and that's, it's really great, and I certainly, I know, and I get this sense that you're all behind me, absolutely, and that I'm, in an almost real way, I'm at the spear tip of this big army of people who go, come on, Em, you can get through this, you can get through this, well done, mate, come on, you can get through this. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely incredible. But the fact is, a bit like the crowd around a boxing ring, I'm the one who's actually got to step into that boxing ring. Yeah? I'm the one who's actually got to go toe to toe with this bastard disease and try and beat it, along with the help of the specialist team around me. All the amazing, doctors and nurses and people in the NHS. And they are really, really good at what they do. The other thing I need to say is, I know that for some people, when you hear the news of what's happened to me, it's just one of those things. Naturally, if you care about me, which is lovely, there's an element of you going into shock as well just from hearing the news. And so you are dealing with your own emotions around this. And of course, because it's cancer, naturally, your own fears about this disease. And, oh my God, it's happened to Henry. It could happen to me. And yes, it could. So I'll say in the middle of this, go and get yourself checked. If you're a black man over about 40 or Caucasian guy over about 50, go and get yourself checked. And so your natural reaction is, out of kindness. I understand this. You want to be the one who can wave the magic wand for me. Oh gosh, Henry's a nice guy. I want it all to go away for him. And you've read something or heard something about, oh, did you know that if you eat 50 prunes a day, some people say that can cure cancer, or something of that kind. Some sort of vitamin supplement, or eat loads of broccoli, or man, you should be eating 5,000 blueberries a day, or whatever it is. Okay. In the nicest possible way, I need to ask you to stop making suggestions like that. Okay? I'm an intelligent guy. I'm a very keen cook. I have an extremely varied diet. I eat what you'll probably call mostly a Mediterranean diet. I eat lots of fruit and vegetables. And if the NHS confirm that, oh gosh, did you know there is solid evidence, Henry, that by swallowing 35 almonds at a time, it will it will help combat the cancer and may take, a month or 2 or 3 off your treatment requirements. I'm listening, right? But there's also quite a lot of unproven, untested, rather wacky theories out there that I prefer not to hear about. Partly because I know of some people who have died despite taking or attempting to use some of these wacky theories. Okay, that's just the way I feel about this. So, thanks for thinking of me, and I understand why someone wants to step forward and be the one who's able to wave the magic wand. Oh, Henry, do this one thing, and it will make the cancer go away miraculously. I'm not one for miracles. I'm an atheist, and I'm not one for miracles. If I see there's good evidence for something, if something's been proven, and I can take it to my oncologist and say, or my specialist nursing team and say, actually, someone suggested this, and there do appear to be these backup papers suggesting that maybe it could be beneficial. Send evidence with the suggestion. Fine. Okay. So you probably think, yeah, well, who does he think he is? He's asking us to kind of be nice to him, and here he is being horrible back. Sorry, but we're talking about saving my life here, and so there's certain aspects of this fight that are just going to be brutal, and there are going to be certain facts that are, pardon the pun, very bitter pills to swallow. God knows I've been swallowing enough of them in the last few weeks, discovering how bad the cancer actually is in my body and how brutal, utterly ruthless, the campaign is going to need to be to combat it. I'm really not going to have time for sort of wishy-washy stuff on the periphery. Okay? But here's the thing. I know there's good people watching this. There are really good people who have demonstrated to me that if I need them, they will be there. And one of the interesting things is actually I'm already feeling pretty sick about talking about cancer. Now, this is one reason why I'm doing these videos. I'm hoping that by doing these videos, lots of you can watch this. So I haven't got to have 20, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000 individual conversations with all of you out there, all you wonderful people, just going over and over and over and over again the same old stuff about what I'm having to deal with, because it's also, by having to have all those conversations, it means that, kind of what I'm talking about, I'm having to consider your feelings too. I don't want to upset anyone if what I'm describing here upsets anyone. I'm really sorry about that, but that's just the way it is. And this is the quickest way for me as an individual to communicate to as many of you as possible, hundreds, maybe even thousands of you, in one hit, what's happening to me right now, how I feel, what the treatment's like, what information I can convey, so that hopefully, and it's already happening, which is wonderful. I'm really touched and blown away by the fact that already some guys out there have watched the first video and gone and got themselves checked. I've had a PSA blood test or a prostate exam from their doctor. That is fantastic. Fantastic. And the more of you that do that, that will make me feel good. That what I'm going through isn't just some ludicrously, immense waste of, potentially a year or however long of my life going through this ghastly experience, that actually it's of benefit to you as well, that you will have learned something from what I'm telling you, including what I'm saying now about, how, as the person going through this, as the person with the cancer or any other major disease, how difficult it can be to cope with, not only on an individual level, but also coping with the reactions of all the other people out there who find out you've got cancer. I mean, suddenly, I can't tell you, in the last few weeks, the number of messages I've received has just been bonkers. And as I say, on the one hand, that's wonderful. That's amazing to know that there's so many people out there who give a shit, frankly, which is just, it's wonderful. But it's also, suddenly, gosh, where did that hour go? Or that 2 hours? Oh, crikey, yeah, I was responding to those messages, emails, stuff. And yeah, I can't afford to keep doing that. So I hope that I've explained sufficiently that if I don't respond or if I seem a bit offish, it's nothing to do with you. This is my shit, okay? This is my cancer, and I'm having to fight it in my way, the best I can. And it's one of the things you need to think about. It's one of the things that's so disturbing when someone you know, or someone you know of, because obviously a lot of you I've never even met, bless your heart, but when someone you know of goes through something like this, it's extremely likely you will notice behaviour changes. And those behaviour changes are partly to do with, gosh, I'm just feeling incredibly nauseous today, or this medicine's giving me appalling diarrhea, and really, I don't want to talk to anyone about that, right? Hi! How are you feeling, Henry? Well, shall I answer that in full, or shall I just say, I'm fine, thanks? So you might get a lot of, I'm fine, thanks, because the reality of what I'm experiencing might just be too ghastly. I don't want to shock anyone. I don't want to, make you think, oh my God, I wish you hadn't told me that. Well, don't ask, right? There's also the other thing that if I encounter you, I mean, there's a lot of people who are in my hobby, the wargaming hobby, who I'll encounter at shows and stuff, and I fully understand that they'll be looking at me thinking, oh my God, he's lost a lot of weight and his hair's fallen out, or whatever it happens to be. And I understand that. None of us like to be confronted with our own mortality. And I can understand that. But when I do bump into those people, by all means, give me a pat on the shoulder or whatever. Good luck with it. Hope you pull through all right, mate. But then can we talk about something else, please? Let's talk about stuff that we both enjoy, that we have mutual interest in. If it's my hobby, lots of people watching this will know what my hobby is. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about painting miniatures, playing with toy soldiers, that kind of thing. The weather, Brexit. Hey, I never thought that anything could come along that would make Brexit seem like a more cheerful subject. But hey, I've managed it. So I think that's kind of enough for today. I have got to have another meeting with the oncologist after the specialist team, the multidisciplinary team, has decided what to do with me. basically. And if and when they're going to embark me on this chemotherapy stage. I've got a letter to take to my doctor's surgery on Monday to drop in to say that they can start giving me these injections at the earliest opportunity. So that could be as early as next week or something. Where are we? We're on the 28th of October, thereabouts. So it's entirely possible early part of November, like Guy Fawkes night, November the 5th, I'll probably have had my first major hormone injection that then lasts me for, as I say, 2 or 3 months. So at least I'm going to have a huge number of those, but I will be dealing with the side effects of those pretty damn quick. Okay, so again, at the end of this video, I will put up the web addresses for the Macmillan Cancer Charity and the Prostate Cancer UK charity. Obviously, I've had lots of people from overseas, States, Australia, gosh, mainland Europe, who've watched these videos as well. So obviously you need to find the relevant equivalent charities in your own country. But they will be there, they will have websites, they will have lots of informative documentation, I'm absolutely sure. And I'll leave you again with that same old message that if you're a guy and you're a black guy aged over 40 or thereabouts, if you're a white Caucasian guy aged over about 50, 55, go and get yourself checked. By some genetic miracle, it seems that chaps of Asian origin are far less prone to prostate cancer. Lucky them. But for the rest of us, get yourself checked, because if this can prevent any single one of you going through what I'm going through, if there's any sign of the disease and it can be caught much earlier, wow, that can make a real difference to your life. Alright? So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with an update sometime soon. Bye.